Lineup, it is a problem facing more and more people trying to pay the mortgage. What you can do if you're struggling to make payments as this pandemic continues on. And many of us are turning to online shopping this holiday season, but that's opening the door for cyber criminals. What you need to do to protect your vital information. And a potential COVID vaccine is on the horizon, but experts say more is needed to slow down the pandemic. Why, they say, it's even more important now that people mask up.
First, here at 5:30, it's the season for giving, and while most of us are focused on finding the perfect present to wrap and surprise someone with, you can also give another gift, the gift of life. Tomorrow is the 21st annual Bleed Blue Blood Drive at Lucas Oil Stadium. Versity Blood Center teams up with the Colts for this event to get critically needed blood donations around the holidays. Versity says they always see a decline in donations during this time of year. Masks and social distancing are required at tomorrow's event that runs from 8 a.m. until 3 p.m.
I think a lot of people are kind of nervous with the COVID situation about leaving their house, but I can assure you that blood donation is an essential business and still very much needed within our community. And we're doing everything we can to keep it as safe as possible. We are following CDC guidelines and have a ton of extra cleaning and sanitation protocols and other screenings that we're doing just to ensure that our donors and our staff are safe while donating.
They are also looking for donors who have recovered from COVID-19 to donate convalescent plasma to help those still suffering from the virus. Walk-ins are welcome tomorrow. You are encouraged to make an appointment ahead of time. This will help maintain COVID precautions in place to keep everyone safe. Just go to versity.org/Indiana to sign up. Christmas came early this year for hundreds of kids at IPS Lew Wallace School 107 on the city's west side. Members of Kingsway Christian Church in Avon partnered with the school to donate more than 350 coats, along with hats, gloves, and scarves for the students there. Lew Wallace School serves students from 27 countries, speaking 31 different languages, many of whom are refugees. Some families have never experienced winter weather and don't know how to prepare. For other families, it's helping eliminate an expense during this very difficult year. Kingsway also provided gift cards for every staff member. What a fantastic gesture there, Kevin, and comes right on time, doesn't it?
And you mentioned some of the kids have not experienced winter weather yet. They'll wait a little longer, maybe next Wednesday. We have some snow showers or light snow. Right now, it is not December-like. Temperatures are in the 60s across central Indiana. There's the veil of clouds. They'll continue to lower and set the stage for a rainy night tonight, maybe a rumble of thunder overnight. City lights started to take over there as the sun set at 5:21. The rain shield is to the west. For us, we'll see some drizzle, perhaps some light showers before 7 in western Indiana. It'll probably be 10 or 11 before any rain really fills the western half of the state and reaches Indianapolis. Pretty easy to tell where the colder air sits from Kansas City to Peoria and Chicago up to Detroit Northwest. Nothing Arctic there, but compared to our temperature today that hit 65, 32 is quite a bit colder. There are your temperatures tonight. Look at the slow decline, and we'll stay above 50 degrees, a full 13 degrees above average for high temperatures. Wet with a rumble of thunder as you wake up in the morning. 7 a.m., the greens and yellows, oranges all represent steady rainfall, in some cases some nice downpours, and then that moves north and east by mid to late morning. More on your weekend coming up.
Even with some of the unknowns about Pfizer's vaccine, an independent committee has decided the potential benefits outweigh the risks for granting emergency use. Government advisors voted 17-4 in favor of the vaccine being used in people ages 16 and older. The shot is still considered experimental because that final stage of the study isn't done. And there are some questions that still at this point can't be answered, like can it stop asymptomatic spread that does account for roughly half of all virus cases?
We're not sure at this point that the vaccine protects you against getting infected. We know for sure it's very, very good, 94, 95% in protecting you against clinically recognizable disease and almost 100% in protecting you for severe disease.
Dr. Anthony Fauci says we will need the public on board with getting the shot to achieve herd immunity. He predicts that could happen before the fall of next year. He hopes that people are getting confidence by just paying attention to the process.
A reason I think this is so important is that we want to make sure that we impress the American public that decisions that involve their health and safety are made outside of the realm of politics, outside of the realm of self-aggrandizement.
On the safety front, the first people vaccinated will be closely tracked for any side effects. At this point, why 2 British people with a history of severe allergies experienced side effects from the Pfizer vaccine is still a mystery. It's important to note that both have recovered. And there are no egg products or preservatives in that COVID vaccine, which have triggered past vaccine reactions. Now, vaccines will start shipping at the busiest time of the year for delivering orders. Both UPS and FedEx will transport vaccines, and both say the vaccine will take priority and be tracked. They're also working with the FAA right now, making sure that the planes carrying the equipment are first in line to take off and land. Well, more than 5,000 Walmart and Sam's Club pharmacies are preparing to receive doses of that Pfizer vaccine. The stores are making sure they have freezers and dry ice to store the vaccine. This comes just as Johns Hopkins reported 3,100 deaths on Wednesday alone. Now, more to get to on our lineup. It is a problem facing more and more people trying to pay the mortgage. What you should do if you're struggling to make payments as this pandemic continues on. This is a video of people marching on the streets of Portland, Oregon, trying to protect a family from getting evicted from their home. Now, this family lost the home to foreclosure 2 years ago, but they never left. And it wasn't until recently that police tried to get them to leave. The developer that bought the home says it is looking for ways to end this conflict. A growing number of Americans have been struggling to make mortgage payments. As the end of the year draws closer, keep this in mind. The federal ban on evictions and foreclosures was recently extended through January. That's primarily for mortgages that are government-backed, like those through Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac. Now, there are also some provisions that cover homeowners using other lenders.
There are plenty that are available on a scale like we've never seen before, but the key ingredient is you have to raise your hand and ask for it. It's not going to find you.
Most homeowners are able to delay or reduce mortgage payments. Wells Fargo, Bank of America, and Chase have all said that they will continue to offer forbearance options into the new year. Any government-backed mortgage is also still eligible to extend the forbearance period through the CARES Act. Many homeowners are coming off their first 6 months right now.
If it's because they're going back to work and the paychecks are flowing in again, great. But my concern is that a lot of the people that are rolling off still aren't back to work, or are back to work but are making less money. And so they would still be eligible for an additional 6 months of payment relief.
To be clear, forbearance is not loan forgiveness. That is a really important point here. You still have to make up those payments at some point. Now, some newer options just tack it on to the end of the loan, but there are others that have required repayment all at once at the end of that forbearance period. All right, still ahead, many of us are turning to online shopping this holiday season, but unfortunately that is opening the door for cyber criminals. But we have what you need to do to protect your vital information. With the COVID-19 vaccine potentially just days away from starting to be distributed here in the United States, there are growing concerns that getting the vaccine to people may not be a smooth process. As Maya Rodriguez tells us, some say a more national approach to that may be needed.
Federal officials say the key component to getting the COVID-19 vaccine distributed across the country will lie in the hands of states, with help from major pharmacy chains like CVS and Walgreens.
We want to replicate the experience you have for the flu vaccine. We want it convenient to you. Use a tried and true system that we do hundreds of millions of vaccines through every year. So that's really the backbone of the approach that we're taking.
But if flu vaccine rates are any indication, that backbone may not suffice. Dr. Eric Schneider is with the Commonwealth Fund, an independent organization that studies health policy. They recently delved into previous vaccination rates to see how it might unfold for COVID-19.
Our healthcare system does well at developing new technologies like these vaccines. We don't do as well at making sure those technologies are distributed to the people who need them most. And we're seeing that in the prior vaccination experience.
What did they find? A mere 51% of Americans got the flu vaccine last year, and only 38% of people got the H1N1 swine flu vaccine 10 years ago, which had a similar vaccine development timetable and pressure, much like COVID-19. those low vaccination rates matter because in order for the COVID-19 vaccine to create herd immunity in the U.S., between 70 to 90% of all Americans will need to get vaccinated.
The concept of herd immunity really develops out of vaccination programs because the question is what proportion of the population needs to be vaccinated to prevent the circulation of a virus in the population.
And just getting that shot could vary depending on where you live, as the federal government is leaving that up to each state.
That's going to be up to the nation's governors as they prioritize within their states.
But Dr. Schneider says in order for the states to pull it off, they're going to need federal help.
Congress is considering a federal rescue package. That funding is really necessary to get states the support they need to vaccinate large numbers of people.
Large numbers of people now waiting for a rescue of their own from a virus that's changed everything. In Washington, I'm Maya Rodriguez.
One Johnson County teacher looking for a way to connect with her students created a musically lit masterpiece that you see here. As WRTV's Rafael Sanchez reports, Megan Green is usually the one in the neighborhood who doesn't decorate outdoors. But this year, she and her family rolled out hundreds upon hundreds of Christmas lights.
A flashing flurry of bright bulbs burst through the darkness, all set to music, making this quite a sight in this Johnson County neighborhood.
I think a special year for everyone, just because we could all use a little more joy this year.
Tom and Megan Green have been married for more than 8.5 years. Since August, Megan has been teaching virtually to 3rd and 4th graders in Franklin, kids whose parents decided to keep them home this fall.
I have many students that I've never been able to see in person. Christmas has always been a special time of year to me in the classroom.
In previous years, the Greens only used this type of greenery, a wreath, to decorate their home at Christmas. But to honor her 80 students, a virtual Santa and a string of lights make an appearance every night at 6 o'clock.
I was on board from day one. Once I knew it was for the kids, I would do anything for my wife. She's amazing. She's an amazing teacher and an amazing person. And when she said that she wanted to do this, I was 100% on board, and we did it. We made it happen.
So this is what you see when you connect about 2,000 lights. A teacher's twinkling toast to her kids, hoping they enjoy the season. Working for you, Rafael Sanchez, WRTV.
That is so great to see there. Mrs. Green has invited her students for a drive-through visit/parade next week. It will be the first time they will get to see each other since August. Isn't that amazing, Kevin?
Everybody loves a parade, and maybe Santa will be there as well. Who knows? We're waiting on rain. Don't know if you want that, but it will be December rain. No winter weather in the immediate forecast. As we see west of the Wabash River, the rain sits in Illinois. That will move our way. Right now, forecast amounts a little lower south and east of the Indianapolis area, but 1/2 inch to 3/4 in the metro area, more than that to the north and west, expected by tomorrow evening. The rain that's steady is back in Illinois. We'll start to continue to moisten the air between now and 7, and then between 7 and 11, it will overspread central Indiana. There's your rain in the morning. Widespread western half of the state, that sweeps through. The afternoon hours, a different story. I think our overall rain chances continue to diminish in the afternoon. Temperatures still shockingly mild when you wake up, in the mid-50s, but notice how they do fall in the afternoon into the 40s as the colder air starts to return and the rain starts to move out.
More women are freezing their eggs. The NYU Langone Fertility Center says it has seen a 32% increase in egg retrievals compared to last year, which is the most in the center's history. And the center's director tells us that there's likely 2 main reasons for this spike. One, there's more awareness about the successful pregnancies that can come from frozen eggs, but also the pandemic.
We're in a year where life has been turned upside down. It's a year of contemplation. There's been a lot of tragedy It makes us rethink our values of what's important to us.
Over the last 3 decades, women have started having their first child at later ages. He believes in what freezing eggs can do, but it is important to note that there is no guarantee.
So this idea that it's an insurance policy, it's a little specious logic. I mean, it's not 100%. If your house burns down, you get a house. You know, if your eggs burn down, you don't get a baby guaranteed. You get a chance.
The doctor says that egg freezing is normally done over 2 weeks with about 6 appointments. Between services and medicines, it can cost anywhere between $10,000 to $15,000, but that doesn't include the cost of storing the frozen eggs and using them to make embryos. The pandemic is forcing many Americans to ditch in-store shopping for online this holiday season. Experts say cyber criminals will be looking to take advantage, but as Usher Qureshi found, there are some simple tricks that you can do to protect your digital profile while you're searching for that perfect gift.
More than 50% of consumers say they will shop online this holiday season due to the pandemic. That spending is projected to account for more than $200 billion.
There is probably going to be more fraudulent use of online deliveries than we have seen before.
Neil Deswani is a cybersecurity expert at Stanford University and the author of Big Breaches: Cybersecurity Lessons for Everyone. He says COVID-related phishing scams spiked as soon as the pandemic hit, and with malware attacks, unencrypted data, and third-party breaches, there will likely be more this holiday shopping season.
Cyber criminals are very well aware of the current situation, and they are going to do everything they can to take advantage of it.
According to the FBI, cybercrime has increased by 400% this year. But there are things consumers can do to protect themselves. Consider identity protection services. These companies can monitor many data sources, including credit files, social media, and the dark web. Two-step verification. Enable two-factor authentication for every online account you have that offers it. And freezing your credit. Call the 3 major credit services and freeze your credit.
I think that your credit should be regularly frozen, except when you go about getting a new home mortgage or getting a car loan. You can always unfreeze it just before you do any of those activities.
Another vulnerability that Deswani says is important to pay attention to is your home router.
If you've bought your home router and you just hooked it up and you didn't say change the password on it, then attackers can take advantage of those commonly used default passwords and hack into your home router. And once they've done that, they can control anything and everything that you can see.
With increased remote working, learning, and online shopping, experts say a cyber pandemic could be the next catastrophic global event. Understanding your cyber risks and taking measures now could, they say, protect you in the long run. I'm Usher Qureshi reporting.
Usher, thank you. And finally in our lineup, a potential COVID vaccine is on the horizon, but experts say more is needed to slow down the pandemic. Why they say it's even more important now that people mask up. Even with the COVID-19 vaccine in play, masks will still be part of our lives.
Up until we do have wide uptake of the vaccines, we're going to have to continue to mask. We're going to have to continue to physically distance. So unfortunately, it's probably going to be at least another year or so that we're having to continue to mask.
Now, encouraged by Pfizer's vaccine, the head of the Infectious Diseases Society of America says it won't be widespread enough to return to normal that quickly.
We have to also make sure that the vaccines are as efficacious as they say they're going to be. We need to get some real world data back. Until we have all of that in hand, we need to be extra careful.
The group is now working with the Ad Council to encourage people to mask up. Now, they like the new administration's pandemic plan for the first 100 days. President-elect Biden says he will sign an executive order the day he is sworn in to require Americans to wear masks on buses and trains crossing state lines, as well as in federal buildings. Researchers continue to publish data that does show that masks can slow the spread of COVID-19.
There's evidence that, for instance, back in October, when we saw COVID beginning to surge again, it was 8 of the 10 states who did not have mask mandates where the cases were highest.
Last month, Vanderbilt found counties with mask requirements had lower COVID-19 death rates than areas that don't.
And I get that we're really, really tired. I'm tired, everyone's tired, but we can't let our guard down right now. We really have to keep at this. We are at a critical juncture in this country. And now is, the time to try and get control of this pandemic while we still can.
A long road to get to this point, but still a ways to go. And on that note, some tough news if you're having a hard time finding Clorox wipes, because the company says you can expect those shortages to continue through the middle of next year. Important to note that this is the third time that the company has pushed back the timeline of having this shortage. Now, it's hard to put into perspective the financial cost of the pandemic. In the music industry, though, the number around $30 billion. That is according to polls.